Welcome all. It's a great day. Today we're going to be talking about the conundrum that business owners have of getting stuck between the rock and the hard place. The rock being a desire to grow your business, the hard place being a desire to grow your personal wealth, and the difficulty of doing both at the same time. Well, today we're talking about a great tool that can help you do exactly that. I'm your host, Ken Rewerts, with my co-host, Scott Graves, and this is the Roofers Growth and Wealth Show.
Roofers, listen up. Contracts, cash flow, chaos, and control. This is the Roofers Growth and Wealth Show. Real talk, real numbers, real roofers getting rich. You're on the Roofers Growth and Wealth Show. Stacking skills, stacking deals, stacking dough. From shingles to scale, watch your empire grow. Welcome to the Roofers Growth and Wealth Show. Let's go.
The information provided here is for general informational purposes only and should not be considered an individualized recommendation or personalized investment advice. The investment strategies mentioned here may not be suitable for everyone. Each investor needs to review an investment strategy for his or her own particular situation before making any investment decisions. Investment advisory represented above and investment advisory services through Portside Wealth Group LLC and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Portside Wealth Group LLC and their representatives do not provide tax or legal advice. Each firm only transacts business in states where it is properly registered or excluded or exempted from registration requirements. SEC registration does not constitute an endorsement of the firm by the Commission, nor does it indicate that the advisor referenced in this disclosure has obtained a particular level of skill or ability.
So today's solution is a means of being able to kind of have your cake and eat it too, get out from between that rock and the hard place, being able to take some of your cash flow and put it into a personal wealth builder for yourself. And overall, this is how it works. Right. This is what it looks like. You take a small portion of your cash flow, not all of it, not where you're thinking, oh, shoot, I got to use this all for my business. A small portion.
Little bit.
And instead of putting that into your own investment, your own personal wealth builder, you give it to a bank. And you're probably going, why? What? Oh, what am I doing here? You give it to a bank. And in turn, the bank puts a large amount, much more than you could do, into your personal wealth building plan. And they're doing that over time. You're paying the bank a little bit. They're paying your plan a lot. And then over time, you then take money from your plan, pay off the bank, and you're left with this supercharged personal wealth, personal retirement account that you can then take money from later on in life, tax free. That's how this works, allowing you to be able to maintain that cash flow in your business and just use a small portion of it to fund your retirement. This is something that is near and dear to us. It's one of our founding ideals of making sure that we can help people create what we call parallel wealth, right? And the idea of parallel wealth is not only building your business, but being able to grow your personal wealth at the same time, which can be a tough thing for a lot of business owners.
Yeah, I mean, we've all been told, and Ken, you and I are small business owners ourselves, and so we've always been told that, oh, build your business. I actually had a guy tell me that another business owner, very successful, he said, put everything you have back into your business for at least 5 years. And then, and yada, yada, yada. And that's, there's some real value to that. We're certainly not trying to say that you should not reinvest in your business, because it's important. It's your baby. It's what you're creating. It's what you're growing. It's what you're intending to, provide for you and for your family. But there does come a point where it can be really dangerous to put all your money back into your business, because as we know, if your business is your retirement plan, there's a real problem. There are too many risks of, again, you're putting all your eggs in one basket, right? And we come to this over and over and over again. And as a small business owner, that's like just what we do because we depend so much on it. But we have to, we've got to start building some wealth on our own, in our own pockets, just to, if nothing else, just to make sure that our family's going to be okay if something goes bad.
Yeah, it's interesting when it comes to the idea of investing. A business is just one of those things as well. It's an asset that we're looking to grow. We're investing in it to be able to produce something for us in the future. And if I were to tell you, if as a financial advisor, I would tell you, hey, crypto grows really well. We see it grows really well over time. Holy cow, look at these growth rates over the past 10 years. And we say because of that, because it grows so well, I think you should put all your money into crypto. If you were my client, you'd laugh me out of the room. You'd say, well, I'm going to go look for another guy because that does not sound like sound financial advice. But we do that with our businesses, don't we? And here's the interesting part about that. Crypto has a better track record, better failure rate, if you will, than business ownership. Business ownership fails at a much larger clip than crypto has.
Yep.
And so we still have these ideas, just like you mentioned, Scott, of we should put all your money into your business for a certain period of time, 5 years. But the problem is 5 years becomes 7, becomes 10, becomes, oh no,
Exactly.
my business failed. I got to start over. And we have nothing to show for it.
Yeah, I was actually talking to a gentleman just the other day who he built a very successful business and sold it. Unfortunately, the buyer couldn't buy it with cash, and so they bought it on a note, essentially, where they were going to pay him over time. Well, the new owners ran the business into the ground within about 12 months, and so he got about 12 months worth of payments when he was supposed to get 10. The business completely collapsed, and he had to start all over. He had to start completely over, and with a brand new business, brand new partner, and he's having to recreate everything. And this was a business that was probably worth $10 million when he sold it. And anyway, so yeah, you're putting all your eggs in one basket. You are depending on the one thing and everything going perfectly, in order to be able to be okay financially, whether it's retirement or whether it's just, wanting to move on to something else.
The problem here too is we're not trying to say you shouldn't invest in your business. You should. We do. We're business owners. We invest in our business.
We do all the time.
You should invest in your business, and you can get a great rate of return on your business for investing there. It can be one of the best. It can be one of the riskiest, but one of the best. So we should invest there. So the problem that a lot of business owners face is that idea, that rock in the hard place of, I know I should be diversifying. I know I should be putting money aside and growing my personal wealth on the outside of my business, but I can't afford to sacrifice any of the cash flow from my business and take a distribution and move it into my personal pocket, right? They keep feeling like I can't sacrifice any of that. I need all the cash flow to stay within the business to be able to grow it. So that is that conundrum. And we have a tool. Now, it's not right for everybody. We're going to talk about that today, who it's right for, when you can use it, when you shouldn't use it. But we're going to be talking about that. And the name of it is, it's a premium financed life insurance policy. Now, before you turn us off, when we said, before you turn this off, hear this out. It's widely used, and it can be a great tool in certain circumstances. So let's get into it. Scott, tell us what it is in general, and let's get into that, and then we'll talk about the positives and the negatives, when you should and when you shouldn't use it.
Right. So one of our jobs as financial advisors to business owners, and especially roofing business owners, is our job is to educate people on financial strategies that they probably haven't heard of. There are so many strategies out there. And even if you think you're really savvy, there's probably something you haven't heard of yet. And there are things that you can do as a business owner that, Joe W-2 employee can't do. And so this is one of those things that has been used for years, decades. But it's just not widely known because it's not widely used. And it is a life insurance policy, first off. Okay. And why do we use a life insurance policy? There's actually several really important reasons why we use a life insurance policy. First and foremost, though, is as a business owner, one of the things that you have to do is if you're offering some type of a benefit to yourself, there's a law called ERISA, E-R-I-S-A. And ERISA basically says that if you're going to offer a benefit to yourself, you must offer it to the rest of your employees. Okay, this is why we have 401k plans. This is why we have, there's testing that has to be done. The Department of Labor has all kinds of rules around 401ks that says that, the owner of the business cannot disproportionately benefit themselves in a 401k plan, compared to their employees, right? And so, but a life insurance policy does not fall under the ERISA rules. It's completely outside of ERISA rules. So you can create this and you can do it for yourself, or even for some of your key employees if you want to. You can create it, but you can carve out a group within your business, even if the carve out is one single person yourself, right? And you can create this for yourself without having to run afoul of ERISA rules. So that's number one. The number one reason we use IULs. And IUL, let me just explain that. IUL stands for Indexed Universal Life. For many, many years, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail here, but for many, many years, there was, as far as life insurance policies are concerned, was term policies and whole life policies. And both of those are great. Most everybody knows what those are. But in the late 70s, early 80s, a couple of insurance companies came out with a new product called a universal life policy, universal life insurance. And that life insurance policy was kind of a hybrid of the two. It was a term policy with a cash value attached. All right. So it grows a cash value inside of the life insurance policy. Because of that, it can be a permanent life insurance policy if it's set up correctly. And so it's really just a matter of how that cash value is going to grow. An indexed universal life policy means that it tracks an index of the stock market. Okay. So the one we most often use is the S&P 500, which is a measurement of the 500, a somewhat broad measurement of 500 of the biggest companies in the U.S. stock market, the domestic stock market. So what you're getting is market returns up to a point, but then at the same time, it also guarantees you against any losses in the market. So with that kind of introduction, okay, the second reason why many people don't know about a premium financed life insurance policy is because it's a pretty complicated solution. It takes some work to set up, and you have to be doing it with people who really know what they're doing. Because if it's not set up correctly, it can really cause some real problems. If it is set up correctly, then it can be a fantastic tool. And you're gonna find out why here in just a second. The third reason that we use an indexed universal life policy is because if it's used for an employee, the business can actually get recouped all of the money that they paid into it over time. So that's another reason that sometimes we use it. And then a couple other reasons will become pretty obvious as we go along. So I'm going to share a little white screen here. I'm going to use my whiteboard. A lot of you guys know that I used to be a school teacher. So I'm a fan of diagrams, and I'm not an artist. I will definitely say that, but I am a fan of drawing stuff.
And we'll make sure to describe it as we go because for those that are just listening.
Correct. Yeah. For those that are only hearing it, we're going to describe what this looks like. Yeah. Okay. So the first thing is we have your business. Let's call this Acme Roofing. Okay. And really this can work for any business, any business at all. But we're talking mostly to roofers. So this is Acme Roofing. So what we're going to do is the business is going to purchase, doesn't have to be the business. You can own this yourself, but we're going to purchase a life insurance policy on you, the owner. Okay. You can also, again, you can put this on one of your key employees, and the reason for that I'll explain here in just a minute. But we're going to purchase a life insurance policy on you, the owner. Now, in this scenario, the business is going to own the policy. Normally, what would happen is the owner of the policy, in this case, the business, would make premium payments directly to the life insurance policy. Okay. Now we're going to change this up. Instead of doing it that way, we're going to bring in a third party. Okay. We're going to bring in a bank. And what we're going to do is we're going to have the bank make the premium payments on your behalf. Okay. So the bank is making the premium payments to the life insurance policy. You are not. Okay. And the business is not. What the business is going to do is it's going to make interest payments or some type of payment to the bank. Okay. Because what you're doing here is you are using a loan to pay the premiums on the life insurance policy. So in order to do this, first and foremost, you have to be comfortable using leverage. Most of our wealthiest clients use leverage because it helps them to put their money to work in 2 or even 3 places at the same time. The other thing that this does is it preserves your cash flow as a business owner. So instead of putting, let's say $300,000, because we're really funding this thing really heavily. Okay, so the bank is going to be putting, let's say $300,000 into this policy for you. Now, instead of you putting the $300,000 into this policy per year, you are only paying, let's say, maybe $50,000 to the bank. So the amount that you or the business is actually putting into this program is far smaller than the amount that's going in. So now the numbers that I'm throwing around here are completely customizable. They can be more than this. They can be less than this. It's just depends on what kind of an outcome you want as a business owner. All right. So the bank is paying $300,000 a year in this scenario into the life insurance policy, and the cash value is growing. Now, why would a bank do this? Actually, surprisingly, banks love to do this. Okay. There are about 24 banks in the country that this is all they do. They only do premium financed life insurance because it is so lucrative. Why? So number one, they're charging you interest. Okay. So like any loan, the bank is making money because they're charging you interest. Secondly, the life insurance policy is an extremely safe place for banks to invest because if you die, okay, if you as the business owner die, the first person that gets paid back is the bank. Okay, so they're covered as far as the bank is concerned. We're also using the cash value in the life insurance policy to cover the loan. So no matter what happens, the bank is covered. It's an extremely secure, it's what we call tier 1 collateral. So it's just as secure as cash as far as the bank is concerned. Okay, so banks love to do this kind of thing. They charge, right now rates are running between 5 and 6.5%. But they're going down, as we know. The Fed over the next couple of years, it's likely that over the next couple of years they're going to be cutting rates. Probably, maybe not this year, but over the next few years we expect them to. Now, we continue to do this funding. Okay, you might, as the bank, as the owner of the policy, you or the business might make payments to the bank for, let's say, 5 years. Well, for 10 years or so, again, fully customizable, the bank is making these payments to the life insurance policy. Once they're done, and when the timing is right, we will take money out of the cash value to pay the bank back. All right. So you're not paying back the bank out of your pocket. The cash value from the life insurance policy is paying the bank back. Okay. So once that's done, the bank is out of the picture. Don't have to worry about the bank anymore. They're completely paid off. They're done. They're happy. And now the policy is yours, free and clear. There's 2 things that can now happen with a life insurance policy. You, as the owner, can eventually take money out of this policy tax-free. Okay, so you're putting money in. The money that goes in is not tax-free, but the money that comes out, it grows tax-free and it all comes out tax-free in retirement or whenever you want to start. It's flexible. You can start it, whenever you want to, as long as the bank is paid off. Okay. What we see is compared to the amount that is paid into the policy. So in this case, if you paid it over 5 years, you've put $250,000 into the policy, into the program. Okay. The bank is now paid off. Depending on your age, depending on when you start, depending on how long it runs. Okay. All of those things, you may be pulling, $500,000 a year out of this tax-free after it's all done. And you can continue to do that for the rest of your life. And then there's a big death benefit from the policy as well when you die, which for a lot of our business owners, especially our most successful business owners, is really beneficial when it comes to estate planning. Okay, you can use it to pay off any estate taxes that you or your family might owe. So we'll often set it up to take care of that specifically as well. So there's a lot of flexibility in this program. Again, it has to be set up correctly. It's extremely important that it be set up correctly. So this is something that we do and have been doing. We have a series of partners, including, banks that we work with and insurance companies that we work with that specialize in this kind of program. Okay. So this is what this does for you is instead of you putting in 300,000, since you're only putting in 50,000 in this scenario, it protects the cash flow in your business and allows you to continue to invest in your business while funding a nice big retirement plan for yourself. And by retirement, I don't mean at age 65. It's whatever age you think is best for you. So it is, but again, as you can see, there's a lot of moving pieces. It can be complex. It's also a relatively low commission product because compared to other types of life insurance out there. So a lot of insurance guys just don't care to do it. It's just too much work for them, and so. But it's something that we specialize in, something that we believe very strongly in. So anyway, so again, this is called premium financed life insurance.
So this can be a great tool. I think about just boiling it down in the end. If I'm a business owner and I'm looking at this money that I can afford from my cash flow to start paying myself and growing my personal wealth, I have $50,000. And I look at that and think, well, I could stick that into my own investment account, grow that at 10% a year. And what will that look like by the time I retire? We actually ran these numbers and we found that if you can get a bank to supercharge a retirement plan like this for you, and you're growing interest on the large amounts of money they're putting in, it largely outpaces, as long as your health isn't horrible, but it largely outpaces if you're just to stick that 50,000 into your own investment account and grow it over time. As well as not only outpacing it, but also being able to take that money tax-free in the future, which is a huge superpower of using. And that's one of the big reasons we use life insurance as the vehicle to do this, because you can take tax-free money from it. So that's a pretty impressive thing. Now, obviously, looking at this, people might think, yeah, everybody wants to do it. If a bank can pay for my retirement, let's do that. Yeah, please.
Right.
But unfortunately, this doesn't work for everybody. It can't work for everybody. So,
right.
So who does this work for, Scott? Who would qualify for something like this, and who wouldn't?
Mm-hmm. So, real quick, I just got to give since you mentioned, borrowing money, and I hope this isn't backwards, but good buddy of mine wrote this book, Retirement on Borrowed Money. That is what this is all about. And one of the things that he often says is, "Oh, are you paying for your own retirement? That's weird. Why don't you have somebody else paying for your retirement instead?" Anyway,
so let's touch on that first real quick before we get into qualify for
qualifications. Yeah.
Borrowing money to fund your retirement might seem scary or foreign to people. If it's scary to you and you hate the idea of borrowing money, if you are, really against that, if you're a Dave Ramsey guy and I never will take on debt ever to do anything.
Fine.
This is not for you. Let's just get that.
Yeah, this is not for you.
This is not for you. And
that's totally fine. If you feel strongly about that, that is completely fine. And we're not judging at all.
Yeah,
in fact, Ken and I, we both believe very strongly in only using debt when it's absolutely appropriate.
Yeah, I don't like debt either, but utilizing debt or leveraging is an important piece to be able to grow. Business owners often understand that. But if you are completely leverage averse, then this isn't for you. So let's get it out of the way. Let's go for it, Scott. Who would qualify for this?
It's a good point. So you do need to have, because, we're talking about a bank, they do have qualifications. Okay. You do have to qualify for it. But it's mostly based on net worth and income. So you need to have a net worth of at least $5 million. That includes the value of your home, the value of your business. Your complete net worth needs to be at least $5 million. And you have to be making at least $250,000 a year in regular annual income. It doesn't all have to be salary. It can include K-1s and whatnot. But now there are some exceptions to that rule. If you are, under age 40, you can generally qualify if you have at least $2.5 million in net worth and $150,000 to $200,000 in income. So it really it depends. If you're not sure, then give us a ring and we can find out for sure if it would fit for you. This is a very specialized tool, and so the banks are looking for you to have, again, $5 million in net worth, $250,000 in income. We're also going to want to know, just from our perspective as fiduciaries, we want to know that, that your business is stable and consistent. So we're going to look at, we and the banks will want to look at, your P&L and your balance sheet, as well as your income statement, and just, some tax returns. There's a lot of collection of data that needs to happen. But for those that qualify for it, this is incredibly powerful. We've used this. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Rockefeller waterfall. But this is what the Rockefellers did to create wealth for themselves over generations after generations after generations. This is one of the tools that they used. So it's proven, it works. It's just it's not for everybody again, but it's a fantastic tool for the people that qualify for it.
There you go. Okay, very good, Scott. With a business owner looking at this, deciding whether or not this should be done, this can look complicated, and frankly, it can be complicated to set this up. But we are experts. We work with experts. We know how to put this together. That doesn't mean it's going to be a pain-free process, meaning you just kind of sit back and let it happen. You'll need to get involved and get things to us when we ask for them. And it can take a few months to set up, but it is worth it. If you qualify and you are of the temperament to do something like this, and you are willing to go through the process of setting this up, it can absolutely be worth it to set up a great tool for retirement.
Well, and it's worthwhile, I think, to have a conversation about it. We determine whether or not this is a good fit for you before you ever get started into the process. We do a lot of work on the front end to make sure that this is actually, that you're a good fit for this. Before, it is a life insurance policy. So you're applying for a life insurance policy. You usually have to go through some kind of, paramedical exam and et cetera, et cetera. But we do a lot of front end work so that we're not wasting your time, or frankly our time, because it is a long process. We want to make sure up front. So we talk about it. We take a look at everything. We run the numbers, make sure that the numbers look good on paper and that they fit what you're trying to accomplish. And then we get into, all the hard work of actually applying for the life insurance policy. So if you're not sure and you're just kind of like, this kind of sounds intriguing, let's talk about it. Let's figure out if this works for you or not. Or if you have another financial advisor, talk to them.
Yeah.
Talk to them and see if this is something that they would be willing to take a look at. If they have questions, we're also really happy to partner with whatever financial advisor people already have to put this kind of strategy together, or any of the strategies that we do.
Yeah, that's a good point, Scott, because not every financial advisor knows how to do this or even knows about this. So we are happy to do that. We can just step in and help with the more advanced solution here or there, and you can stay with your current relationship. So that's a good point.
Absolutely.
Good point.
Absolutely. No, if you have people that you trust, you should continue to work with them. And, we're happy to come in and be part of the team. I will say that because it's such a customized solution, there have been, and there are instances where these have gone bad. Okay.
Yeah.
And there's largely two reasons that they go bad. Number one, they aren't set up right in the first place. Okay. That's the most common. They aren't set up right in the first place. Number two, they aren't maintained appropriately. Okay. One of the really important parts of this is that we continue to meet with our clients at least once a year to review how this is going. We take a look at the interest rate that you're paying to the bank, and we say, okay, is this still a competitive interest rate? And if it's not, we're going to shop it around. We're going to find a better one for you. Okay. So this is not something, it's not a set it and forget it kind of plan. We'll talk about, well, shoot, is this something that, I don't know if I can make my payment this year. That's okay. Actually, we can work around that. We are very familiar with the volatility of income that when it comes to roofers. So there might come a year when you're just like, I'm not comfortable making my payment this year, or maybe I want to make more of a payment this year than last year. Those are all things that are flexible within the plan and that we can work out. So it's definitely something that we want to that we continue to maintain. So we want to make sure it's set up correctly in the first place, and we want to make sure it's that we continually maintain it going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have to be conservative with certain things like this, making sure that we're not.
Everything is set up very conservatively.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Exactly. All right, great. Well, thanks, Scott. Hopefully this
good stuff, Ken.
Hopefully this has been helpful to our roofing listeners and clients and what have you, that this might be something you haven't heard of in the past, or you have heard of, but this gave you a little bit more information. Maybe gave you a little bit of courage to maybe reach out and ask about it. So feel free to follow us, like and subscribe, and you'll be hearing more about these types of tools and more ins and outs of the roofing industry as it pertains to the financial impact as we go forward. Thanks so much for being with us. Have a great day.
Appreciate you guys.